Take the bait. Take the bait. Take the bait. Take the bait. Take the bait.
It's game day. It's not no regular Wednesday.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Take the Bait, episode 15 right here. This is two sports guys, two sports junkies talking about topics past and present that many of us talk about in our own groups, but now we have a platform to do so with your host, Marcus Wilson, Ben Shoulders. And thank you to you viewers who have supported us thus far. We're over 1.5 million views. We're continuing to grow. We couldn't do this without you. Today we have an extended episode because we have a special guest, Coach Clay Moser. He's had time in the NBA. He's had time in college. He's had time with USA Basketball, spent a lot of time with the Lakers, with Kobe, with LeBron. So we had to make time for him. He has a plethora of stories, plethora of knowledge. And so with that being said, we're going to have Coach Clay Moser on right now. And let's dive into our first segment. Right now, we have a special guest. Coach Moser has extensive experience in a lot of areas of the game in college and pro, has coached at Arkansas, has coached in the G League, has coached in the NBA. Done some stuff with USA Basketball. We're going to touch base with all of that. First of all, thanks for joining us, Coach. How you doing today?
Thanks for having me, and thanks for politely telling people how old I am.
Well, hey, you're about to tell us all some good stories here, man. So my number one question that I'm most curious about is, I know you spent some time with the Lakers and you were able to spend some time around Kobe Bryant and around LeBron James, obviously two of the best. What are some of the similarities or differences that you saw in those guys that you think people would be interested to hear about?
Sure, yeah, it's easy to talk about those two guys because they're so, such greats of the game and had lengthy careers and champions and MVPs and all that kind of stuff. So just for reference, I was with Kobe for the last 5 years of his career. And then I was here in Arkansas where I'm sitting right now, that Sunday morning, of the tragedy.
Yeah.
But I was gone by that time. I lasted for 8 years, was with Kobe for his last 5 and then of his career and then LeBron for his first. So as far as similarities go, the first and foremost thing is one of the things that they shared was the immense pressure on each of them they had to be the dude, and they had to be the one that kind of like a NFL quarterback, right? Like you're expected to win, and if you win, you're going to get the lion's share of the credit, and if you lose, whether it's on you or not, you're going to get the lion's share of the blame.
Yeah.
Just like the world's doing with Josh Allen now, like it's Josh Allen's fault. And so that was one thing that they shared for sure. And then work ethic was great. Kobe's is hard to match. He was maniacal in a lot of ways, as you guys know, and he would say that himself. One of my first days on the job, I was told to be at a gym in Newport Beach, California at 5. I got there about 4:20 and I was late. Turned out. So he was already on the move, had a full-blown sweat going. And I'd heard stories, but that was clearly, I got my lesson. Like,
Yeah.
If he says 5, he doesn't really mean 5. So his work ethic was incredible. And Kobe was a great leader. But I will tell you this, Marcus, and I say this with all due respect, and I some people don't like when I say it, but he was hard. He was hard on people.
Yeah.
He was hard on the people around him. He was hard on his teammates. He was hard on coaches. He was hard on administration. He was hard on ownership. He was hard on the media. That was kind of his, Mamba mentality, which
Yep.
came a lot later in his career. He didn't start out as the Mamba, right? But he became the Mamba, and so he could be difficult to be around.
Yeah.
And one of the things you had to learn very quickly is that, and I don't mean this in the way it's going to sound, but like he'd try to bully you around. So
Yeah.
you either allowed yourself to be bullied or you fought back. And I saw a lot of guys that didn't fight back that were asked to pack their boxes up and pack their desks up and leave way before I did, because
Yeah.
I fought back with him a little bit, he wasn't an easy dude to fight back with. I can tell you that. He's he was pretty dead set in how he thought things were, but also I was there with him for 5 seasons, and he fundamentally he brought like a different personality to the season each of those 5 seasons.
Yeah.
With no duplications. So the first year I was there, they were the defending champions. So there was that, locked in mindset, mentality. There was, then we had a coaching change early in the next season. And there was the mindset of, okay, I'll just do this all by myself, mindset and personality. And then the Lakers started to rebuild for the first time in their team's history. Like, the Lakers had never rebuilt.
Yeah.
This moment in time, and you guys will know this. Like, when they needed to, they went and got Wilt. When they needed to, they went and got Kareem.
Yeah.
They went and got guys that weren't theirs. Kobe wasn't theirs. They had to trade for Kobe on draft night.
That's right.
They didn't draft Kobe. But Jerry West was smart enough to trade for him. And then the next 2 years, so he kind of became a little, he got really testy when we were rebuilding, because we were not winning. And if you ever had a chance to meet him, if you knew him at all, you can probably imagine how not so simple he was to be around in those days. And then the last year, he kind of started to make amends with people. Like, he softened up on ownership, he softened up on coaches, he softened up on the media, and that all kind of parlayed itself into the Hollywood career, like, very quickly after done playing. So, but his leadership style was either you play as hard as I'm playing, or you do the best you can to play as hard as you think you can play. Or this is not going to go well for you. And that was just kind of that's kind of the way he operated. So, did you guys ever have a chance to meet him?
No, I have not, but he's one of the guys that I study a lot. Him, Nick Saban, these guys that have, like you said, these maniac, like, just so addicted to detail, and just like their expectations of others are so high, like you said, that it can rub some people the wrong way, but it also at times drives people to greatness in ways they probably couldn't have done without someone pushing them like that. So,
right,
that's
like, he ran it, like, you remember Smush Parker?
Yep.
So Smush, he got like it kind of drove Smush away, and just like Smush never really was able to recover after that. And I coached Smush in the G League, so I got to know him a little bit. And Smush was a guy you couldn't just yell at and be on his tail every single second of the day. He didn't respond to that really well.
Yeah.
But there were other guys that had better careers than they were probably ever going to have.
Yep.
Because of him, and partially because every time when you walked out there, for the most part, especially for the first 18 years of his career, until we started to rebuild, was that if he was out there, you had a chance to win.
Yep.
And because he did have that ability to will you there, just by sheer will, he could do it. Crazy. And I've got a couple Kobe stories that I don't know if your listeners would be interested in hearing, but they're pretty fascinating. Number one is, if you don't mind, Marcus. I mean,
of course. I mean, this is why you're here.
So number one is, everybody knows about the night against Golden State where he ruptured his Achilles, and then he walked back out there and made 2 free throws, and then walked off the court without a wheelchair, without crutches, without draping his arms or anybody, right?
Yep.
So I was there that game. So I was there on both these games. So there you have a guy who now has just scored 2 points after suffering a season-ending injury, right?
Yep.
There's not really many people. There's not really many people in the history of the game that have done that.
Yep.
So he not only, and that one's famous because everybody knew that one. But we were in New Orleans one night, and he tore his labrum in his right shoulder. In his right shoulder. People don't remember this. Well, number one, because like the Achilles, we were at home. It was an up and coming Golden State team. And, so now you've got two California teams. You got in the Pacific time zone, you'd have the viewing audience to yourself, right? Because you're like, everybody in the East is done playing and everybody in the Midwest is done playing, and the Mountain time zone teams are just finishing up their games for the night, and we're getting going.
Yep.
So everybody remembers that, but we're in New Orleans. He tears the labrum in his right shoulder against New Orleans, and his arm is like literally drooped down by like my memory is that way below his knee, like it just was dangling there. It was loose, right?
Yeah.
So Byron Scott was the head coach, and Gary Vitti was our trainer. He's going, "You got to get him out. You got to get him out." And Byron's trying to get a timeout, but the ball is just like flying up and down the floor. And so I don't remember who threw the pass, but somebody throws a pass to Kobe, because of course Kobe just goes and posts up, right? Like he just goes down to the mid post.
Yeah.
We throw it to him, and he turns around, Marcus and Ben, and he makes like this beautiful left-handed turnaround jump shot out of the post with his left hand.
With the left. Wow.
Done. So now the guy has scored 4 points in his career after sustaining season-ending injuries.
Man.
Wow.
Different.
Which I think should be in the record books.
Yeah. I've never heard of that. Anybody scoring football, basketball, any sport where where you season ending and you stay out there and keep performing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Wow.
The other one is we're in Minnesota, and we knew at some point he was going to pass Michael for third on the list. Okay, and Byron Byron had been brought there because he was Kobe's veteran when Kobe was a rookie and just growing up in the business, and Byron and Kobe were like brothers. And so Byron was making a big deal of it, and he was doing things with the younger guys, because remember, like, we had a ton of young guys. Like, think of the young guys that came through there: Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, Pizza Zubats, Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma. I mean, we just had a whole run. Larry Nance Jr. Like, we just had a whole run of really, really good draft picks.
Yep.
And, so Byron kind of opened it up. Those guys, he said, "Hey, if you guys want to bring something to get signed or anything like that, and do it, because eventually this is gonna happen." So he passes Michael for third at the free throw line. He goes 2 for 2 at the line, surpasses Michael. They have a little ceremony for him at the game. But after the game, the locker room is it's mayhem, right? Just with like our own organization, not outsiders and not me, like just our own organization. And I've never been like that. Like, I don't have, and it's probably cost me, I don't know how much money it's cost me over the course of my, like, what's happened, but I've never been able to get myself to ask a player for an autograph. A picture here and there, yeah, but I have no, like, if you look around my house, I don't have an autograph of a player that he did specifically for me.
Yeah.
Like, to Marcus, love you, Kobe, like, I don't have any of those.
Right.
So I'm just standing in the back. I'm just standing in the back of the room and just watching it all play out. And there's staff and there's players. Like, it was really cool, really cool.
Yeah. And
then, so I don't say anything to him that night, because it's just like, it felt like after this celebration, it wasn't time to bother him and that sort of thing. And then it was, like a week pass and another week pass. And now you're in that awkward stage where you go, now that's going to seem awkward. Like, right. It's like you went to the wedding and you forgot to take the present, on the table, and then you're trying to sneak the wedding present on the table, kind of thing, kind of that feeling.
Right.
So now I have the Indiana scout, and I'm in the locker room early. And the locker room in the old Toyota Center was nothing special. So my seat was literally next to the Stars seat, and my seat was a covered laundry bin. Like old style, the ones you push around, you throw all the towels in.
Yeah.
So ours, it had a cover on it. So that was my seat. So I would plop myself up on that thing, and I'm in there all by myself. I'm going over my notes. I'm going over the film, to make sure I got my T's crossed and my I's dotted, because you cannot make a mistake in front of NBA players, man, because it takes months to repair a mistake.
Yeah.
With those dudes. So you got to be on. You got to do it right. It's kind of like living in New York, man. Like, you just, like, every day you got to have your head on a swivel. And so Kobe walks in, because he usually arrived very early at the arena, because he liked to shoot before everybody else shot. Like, he would actually be done shooting, pregame shooting, before anybody else got there. So he walks in, but now I'm like, my seat was literally like right next to his locker. So as he's walking toward me, we just kind of, nod at each other. And I'm sitting there, and I realize, like, okay, if I don't say something now, like, it's like I'm not going to get this in. But it's about 3 weeks to the fact. So I don't feel great about the whole thing. So I lean over in my like, I'm sitting up above him, because I'm on this laundry bin, right? So I lean over and I said, "Hey, man, I just want to tell you how cool it was to be with you in Minneapolis that night when you surpassed Kobe for third all time on the list. And I don't know what your viewing audience is, and I'm gonna clean this up as best I can. But if you knew Kobe, this is the way he was." Without looking up, he said, "I was wondering if you're gonna say something to me, MFer." It just blows you back, right?
Yeah.
Because number one, on a positive note, you realize, hey, he realizes I'm here.
Right.
He realizes I'm in the room. On a not so positive note, he kept score.
Yeah.
He was like Michael, because Michael was his idol, right, in the game. So Kobe was very much the same. Like Kobe kept score.
Right.
So he knew when you owed him something. He knew when you felt he'd been dissed in some way. But that is one of the most, and I can't prove it. Like, you're either going to have to believe it, because it was just him and I in there. Nobody else is in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you either believe it or you don't. But if you knew him, you go, I can see that.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but just from what I've heard, I know that sounds like Kobe. No, that's an awesome story, man. Ben,
Yeah.
did you wanna ask Coach a question?
I do. Coach, thanks so much for taking time with us today and being on the show. We really appreciate it. My question is twofold. Number one, as it relates to NIL, we know NIL is the name of the game now. So one, do you think there should be restrictions on NIL as it relates to transfer portal and everything? And then two, how does a small to mid-major school at the college level, whether it's basketball or even football, compete now, as compared to the big boys that have the NIL money and so forth? So I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, that's a loaded question, Ben, because it's like, first of all, the NCAA, which is is supposed to be governing all this, they just kind of keep moving the goalposts every day. Like, every day there's a kind of a new ruling, there's kind of a new this, there's kind of a new that. And Marcus, I know you and I have talked about the NIL a little bit.
Yep.
And you probably have some NIL PTSD over it, because they just keep changing it.
Yep.
Right? They come up with this and they come up with that, and you're wondering, like, I keep wondering, like, who's in the room with them when they're making these decisions? Like, who's advising them? Are there former coaches in there saying, yeah, I don't, like the JUCO rule, which I know is not NIL, but the JUCO rule, where all of a sudden they just come out and go, oh, by the way, first 2 years of JUCO don't count against your eligibility.
Right.
Well, who asked for that?
Right.
Like, did somebody negotiate that in, or was that just kind of a 3-card Monty thing where you go, look over here while we're doing this over here kind of thing?
Right.
So that's the one thing. So what I think about NIL, Ben, is number one, I'm for it, and I've always been for it. And Marcus will tell you, number one, because he played, he's also coached, but when you're with those kids day in and day out, like back in the day, like back in your day, Marcus,
Yeah.
And you're still a young pup, but back in your day, it was hard to, and people, when you tell people this now and they think you're crazy, but it was literally hard for you to scrape up enough money to take a girl to the movies and then go and have a burger and a milkshake after the movie.
Yep.
And you more than likely did not have a vehicle
Right.
to be able to get to the movies
Yep.
or whatever it is you're going to do. And the other thing that most people don't realize in that era was during the academic school year, a Division I athlete could not hold a job,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So not only were you not getting anything, but you couldn't create anything.
You couldn't go earn anything.
You couldn't go earn anything.
Because prior to that, what had happened when they were letting athletes work, they manipulated the system and they had guys going and
Right.
working these summer jobs.
Right.
And, they were getting paid $200 an hour to not show up at this fake job. And that's how they were paying them. So then the NCAA came in and said, you know what? Nobody can work. And then you were just screwed, right?
Yeah. I don't want to tell you where or when, but I witnessed a couple of those things. Like, I worked at one place where they had to go turn the water sprinklers on the football field, and it took them about 30 seconds, and they were able to put 5 hours on the clock. The sprinklers are going to turn themselves off. And then I played in junior college in Minnesota, and this is Minnesota now, and our work study, the guys that were on work study, we called them their job was to chase the alligators out of the gym. Like in case an alligator in the state of Minnesota showed up and got in the gym somehow, their job was to get the alligator out. And they did a great job. I never saw one alligator in there. But I think they could get 4 hours a day, I think is what they could get. So number one, Ben, I think they just need to blow it up and start over.
Yeah.
Now, are they ever going to do that? No, because what they keep doing is they just keep adding things. And that makes it difficult for operators. It makes it confusing for parents. It makes it confusing for the athletes. It's confusing for the people, not the settlement money, which, let's be honest about, to your other question, like the settlement money is not going everywhere. The settlement money is just going to the big boys. Right. They're just going to the chairmans. They're going to the board of directors. They're not going to the laborers. It's not going to Kent State or Charleston Southern or it's not going to those places.
Right.
So now you're left with the NIL situation, and if you've got a fan base or an alumna base that's willing to put some money in there, they're confused at what the rules are and how much can they do and what can't they do and what's the kid supposed to do back in exchange for it.
Yeah.
So I think what's happening is in terms of, and unless I'm missing this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last year in the NCAA tournament where I would put the 24-25 season where the NI really start the whole compensating of athletes really, really cranked up.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there were the least amount of upsets in the NCAA tournament than there's been for a really, really long time, and maybe ever.
Right.
Do I have that right?
I know that there was. Yeah, you're right. I don't know about ever, but I know that it wasn't as much parity because it was just,
Right. There wasn't the one shining moment, in the first round, right? The one shining moment was just at the Final Four.
Right. Yep.
So Ben, I think that's your answer.
Yeah.
I think your answer is
that makes sense.
Like the mid majors and clearly the low majors are just going to have to take some pride in winning their conference, putting out good humans into the world. But I think the days of George Mason making it to the Final Four, or like even Butler, which I know is in the Big East, I just don't think you're going to see those anymore because it does take the cash. And when you think about the the football playoff, which just ended last night. So Indiana does something that historically they've never done, to the degree that had they lost last night, that would have retied them with Northwestern as the worst
Most losses.
football program in the history of NCAA football. But that's not what happened. What
Right.
happened was they won a national championship by going 16-0.
Yep.
So that tells you a lot of things you need to know. And then the other thing would be the story of Texas Tech, who had one donor who basically came in and dropped $30 million on their program, and Texas Tech got in for the first time ever.
Yep.
Now they got to come up once they got there. So they've got more room to operate. And then that bodes the question, like, can this guy next year now, can he do 40? Well, people are saying, no, you can't just do that. Like you're not supposed to do that, but people are doing it.
They're doing it. Yeah.
They are doing it. I think the answer is, money talks.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we only got about 7 minutes left. I want to end up with, I know you spent some time with USA Basketball, and you're still with USA Basketball now. So could you tell us about your involvement with USA Basketball and what we can expect here in the near future?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Number one, I've spent 3 stints on the board of directors at one point in time. About 6 weeks ago, finished up my second window with what's called the World Cup qualifying team. And we, the three of us were talking about this earlier. Like in our country, nobody realizes what international play is all about, because we really only start paying attention with the Olympics and a little bit for the World Cup, especially in every other sport other than European football or soccer, right? Like the World Cup is a big deal and everybody knows it's coming. But the Olympics is what really triggers the United States. But the reality of it is that we have to qualify the United States men's senior basketball team for these events. Like we have, and so right now there's 80 teams, there's 80 countries across the world that are trying to get 32 spots in the World Cup tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talked about earlier, so we did and they call them windows. So the first window was we played Nicaragua. We played them once in Managua, Nicaragua, which is hard to say, but it's fun to say. Really cool little city. And so we beat Nicaragua in Nicaragua. The kid Normat O'Cheer, who's played, couldn't keep him off the glass, but thank God he was their only really good player. And then we came home to it. We played him in Atlanta and beat him there. So we beat him 2-0. We set a 2-game USA Basketball window for most points scored with 245. I mean, our dudes could score and here you guys will love this as basketball guys. Our assist rate was 77%.
Wow.
To the layperson means we basically assisted like 4 out of every 5 baskets.
Yep.
Which is an absolute insane number, especially when I tell you the next part is the team we had in November, in early December, will not be the same team we have in February and March, which that's the next one that's coming up. I'm leaving a week from today we're having a prep meeting in Atlanta. Steven Silas is our head coach. Patrick Mutombo's on the staff. Patrick Ewing's on the staff. Marlon Garnett's on the staff. USA Basketball does an unbelievable job. But with no one watching, there's actually a ton of pressure on both the players and the coaching staff and the management staff to make sure that we get our senior team qualified.
Yeah.
And by senior team, what I'm talking about is like when you watch our team play in the World Cup and you watch them play in the Olympics, you're talking about the LeBrons and the Kobes and the Michaels back in the day with the Dream Team. Like that's the guys I'm talking about. Like the current Hall of Famer or the current All-Stars, soon to be Hall of Famers. I think Durant has taken over Carmelo, I think, for first in overall scoring.
Yeah.
Carmelo, Chris Paul, like those are the guys, right? Devin Booker. But it's our job to get them qualified, because if we don't get them qualified, you don't get to watch them play in that tournament.
Yeah.
So to the rest of the world, these events are like common. They're like second nature to them. To the United States, we have no idea it's even happening.
Right.
And like I told you, the only way it becomes news, and we're going to play the next 2 games we play, Mexico and the Dominican Republic. The next 2 games are in San Diego. There will be about 200 people there. When we played in Nicaragua, there was 9,000.
Wow.
So it's just one of those things where our country just does not pay attention to it. I think, and I said this, and I say this with all humility, but I think it's really true. Like we have an elite mentality when it comes to international play, and we just feel like we are grandfathered into all of it. And the reality is we're not.
Yeah.
So they're big games, and I've actually been working. Mexico is my responsibility, and I've been working on them about an hour a day, every day for a month. So I have like 30 hours of preparation in on Mexico for 1 game.
Gotcha. And when is that game? When can we expect to watch that?
February 28th and March 1st.
Okay.
We played the Dominican Republic on February 28th, and we played Mexico on March 1st.
Awesome. Well, we'll be ready to tune into that. And no, man, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us your time and the stories. We really appreciate it. And telling all the viewers out there to make sure we tune in to USA Basketball and support USA Basketball and Coach Moser. So thank you so much for your time, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome, Ben. I don't know about you, but I feel like I got a little bit smarter listening to Coach right there.
Absolutely.
Moving on to our second topic. Of course, we had to talk about it. College football playoff, national championship. The Indiana Hoosiers pulled it off. Let's recap this historic event. What do you think about it, Ben?
Hoosiers. I'm going to tell you, Marcus, 27-21, Indiana Hoosiers beat the Miami Hurricanes in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. We could dissect the game all day long. Most folks have already done that for the last 2 days. So I'm just going to simply say this. Mendoza didn't have the best game of his career, certainly not the best game of the CFP, but in the fourth quarter, he stepped up. They went for fourth down twice. That 4th and 5, when they did the QB draw, he got banged and hit 3 different times, spun around, stretched his 6'5" frame across the end zone like he was John Elway in the late 90s, and they scored. You know, the block punt was huge. The interception to seal the deal at the end, it was awesome. And I'm not going to spend much time talking about the team or about Mendoza right now, but I do want to throw up this one graphic, Marcus, and that's about Coach Curt Cignetti. Everybody knows how great of a coach he is, and we'll get into that here in the next segment. But this graphic here, he's 20. This is at IU. It's in 2 years. He's 26-0 when they score 20 or more points. He's 26-0 when they allow 27 or less points, and he's 25-0 when they outrush the opponent. That is just mind-boggling. This was historic. This was surreal. They were the losingest, as Coach Moser said, the losingest FBS program ever in NCAA history coming into this season. They won the national championship. They went 16-0. Largest title odds in major sports history at 100-1. Big Ten, Marcus, 3 in a row. Let me hear your thoughts, man. Hoosiers, baby.
I never thought that I would have to say congrats to the Indiana Hoosiers fans on a national championship in football. Also, did I never think that they would have a more recent national championship than my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is just crazy, but I got to give you guys props. It's great for the sport. It shows what investment into a program can do when you bring in a good coach and you pour resources into it. It's just, and we're seeing it all across college sports, as we've talked about in other episodes, the emergence of Vanderbilt and football, like now with NIL, you can go out and get guys. And when you invest in the program, and especially when you're in those Power Four conferences, you're going to have the resources to get some things done. For the game specifically, I knew early on, I thought IU was going to win. My only concern was I thought that Miami was the most physically violent team. Coach Cristobal always uses that word. They want to play violent. And I saw early on that IU was battling with them in the trenches. And I was like, man, these guys are tough. And if they're not going to get physically bullied, There's no way they can lose. That's the only way they could have lost that game, and they met the challenge physically. And I just think that Coach Kurt Signetti is one of this year did one of the best coaching jobs in any level of sports. I don't care what you're talking about, like what he did with the Hoosiers, with the amount of talent they had to take them where to the national title. It was just awesome. So no, man, it was exciting to see. I'm happy for the Hoosiers fans. I'm happy for college sports. I'm happy for the Big Ten. We get to mess with the SEC fans even a little bit more and remind them that that this isn't the 2000s anymore. Haven't even made it in a national championship game in 3 years. Meanwhile, the Big Ten has not only won in 3 years, but three different teams, which is showing how balanced and dominant the Big Ten is. Onward with the Big Ten, and congrats to you guys, all you IU fans. Which takes us to the next topic. Maybe we're jumping the gun, maybe we're not. But we got to ask, first team ever to go 16-0. Is this the greatest college football team of all time? I'm going to let Ben take this off. I'm pretty sure you guys know what he's going to say, but let's see what his points are on this. Is this IU football team the greatest football team of all time in college sports?
So, Marcus, I have done some digging, and I have a lot to say on this topic. But I'll preface it by saying this. There are a lot of great all-time college football teams, as you know. 2018 Clemson, 2022 Georgia, 2023 Michigan, 10 Auburn, 2002 Ohio State, 04 USC, 07 Florida, among many others. But for the last 5 years, I've been saying there are 4 teams that I personally have been alive to see that are the 4 greatest college football teams ever. In chronological order, I'm going to tell you who I, for the last 5 years, have said who they are. Starting with 1995 Nebraska. Coached by Tom Osborne and led by Tommy Frazier, they just dominated. Undefeated, they won by an average of 39 points per game. They were awesome. 2001 Miami, probably the most talented team of all time. 38 NFL draft picks, 17 of which were first rounders, coached by Larry Coker, led by quarterback Kent Dorsey. They had Clinton Portis, Frank Gore, Willis McGahee, Andre Johnson, and Jeremy Shockey on offense. And then on defense, they were led by Ed Reed, who Michael Irvin said is on the Mount Rushmore of all-time Miami football players.
He is.
They were nasty. They were nasty. So post-CFP, which the CFP started in 2014, 2019 LSU, led by Heisman winner Joe Burrow. They had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, among many others. One of, if not the greatest offense of all time. They averaged 568 total yards per game and over 48 points per game. They were electrifying. And then fourth, last but not least, 2020 Alabama, coached by the legend Nick Saban. I think his best team he ever had. I mean, that's debatable, but let's just choose them. Undefeated, number 1 all year. They blew Ohio State out by 30 in the national championship, and they were very dominant. So up until now, those were my 4. Until now. I'm going to go with some reasons, Marcus, and I'm going to tell you why I think this IU team is the greatest team of all time. The obvious reason is, number 1, this graphic here, 16-0, the greatest record in modern history. The only other team to ever go 16-0, 1894 Yale, which not only did they invent the forward pass, they played high school teams then. But anyway, 16-0. Number 2, a graphic of the total margin of victory since CFP. Now, granted, this is apples to apples because this is in 15 games. I'm not even counting national championship. I'm just talking about 15 games. Indiana has 473 points in total margin of victory, surpassing 2018 Clemson with 467, which means Indiana averaged just over 41 points a game and averaged 11 points per game on defense. So they beat teams by 30 points a game in 16 games or 15 games. This next graphic, teams that ever scored 55 points or more and beat teams by 30 points or more. Indiana did it more than any team ever, other than two 1,800 teams, 7 times. 7 times this year, they scored over 55 points a game and beat teams by 30 or more, most ever. The one critique I hear, Marcus, about Indiana this year is their schedule. Oh, they didn't really beat that many good teams. Whatever. They beat 5, and really, I'm going to argue 6, and I'll get to that in a sec. Beat 5 top 10 teams this year. The only team to beat more ever, 19 LSU. IU beat Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama, Miami, and Illinois at the time was top 10. And I'm going to argue they beat 6 because they beat Oregon twice. So 6 top 10 teams this year. The only team to do more than that, 2019 LSU beat 7. Another reason, Marcus, real fast, balance. They were number 1 in the nation in scoring points with 666 total points, and number 2 in the nation in defense points allowed at just over 11 a game. The only team to have fewer than that was Ohio State, 9.3. And number 1 in the nation in turnover ratio, which tells you not only defense, but special teams got it done. And then lastly, the Heisman winner, meaning the best player in the nation, and the AP Coach of the Year, Cignetti, they had the best player and the best coach. So in conclusion, Marcus, numbers don't lie. Due to their record, their statistics, numbers, results, dominance, blowouts, and strength of schedule, coupled with refusing to lose, the team chemistry, the commitment, and the tenacity, not to mention coaching and preparation, I rank them the number 1 greatest NCAA single-season Division I college football team of all time, and the greatest turnaround in the history of sports. Not just college football, the history of sports. And lastly, food for thought, the last undefeated basketball team to go undefeated, 1976 Indiana Hoosiers, and the last football team to go undefeated, 2026 Indiana Hoosiers, 50 years apart. Hoosiers? Marcus, your thought.
You make a lot of good points there, Ben. I love your enthusiasm, as always. But, let's bring it back to reality a little bit. I will say that this is you're right, the best turnaround in sports history. I also think this is the most well-coached team in college history, maybe ever. When you look at the graphic here that shows how many 4 and 5 stars IU had versus some of their opponents, it's just, it's unheard of. It's almost like if a team from the Missouri Valley had 1 4-star, and then they went and beat all these Power 5s that have these 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 and 5 stars on their roster. It's unheard of for a team with this amount of talent, or lack thereof, at least ratings wise, to do what they did. With that said, I just can't say, now, yes, 16-0, no one's ever went 16-0, but then again, no one's had the opportunity to go 16-0 because of the expansion of the CFP. But they went undefeated, yes, margin of victory, yes, I get all that, but it's just really hard for me to think that they are the greatest team of all time. I think that he just outcoached these guys this year. But to think if he matched up with another really good coach, like the 2020 Alabama team, like, you're not just going to outcoach Nick Saban. He learned from Nick Saban, right? That 2005 USC team, like, Pete Carroll was a really good coach. Tommy Osborne was a really good coach with Nebraska. And so when you get these teams with a tremendous amount of talent and coaching, I don't know if IU would be better. But at the end of the day, also, we have to give it some time. Because one of the reasons that the 2001 Miami Hurricanes team is considered one of the greatest is because you're able to see how many draft picks they had. All 38 weren't drafted that year. It was over years of time that those guys phased out of there. And we were able to see what level of pros they became, which now when you look back, just like with LSU, you're looking at it like, man, Joe Burrow led the NFL in passing yards last year. And then Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase were 1 and 2 in receiving yards. And you think about having that talent at LSU, and it just magnifies how good they are. In a couple years, if a lot of these IU players are in the NFL and they're Pro Bowlers and they're All-Stars, I think it will add to your argument. But right now, I don't think they have enough pound for pound talent for me to say they're the greatest ever when you have a team like Miami that has 38 draft picks and some of those iconic names they had. So let's give it a couple years. Let's see what some of these IU players do in the NFL. There's receivers and Mendoza, I'm sure, and there's others who will get opportunity. And I think that will also allow us to say, in more fairness, where they rank in the all-time ranks. Would you give me that? Is that a fair take?
That is a fair take. I'm with you. That is a fair take.
But no doubt, they are one of the greatest. Of course, when you win the national championship, you're already one of the greatest. But of all the national champions, considering their margin of victory, the amount of wins, how they did it, you got a case. You got a case. I'll give you that. And our last subject today, sticking to football, let's look back on the NFL playoffs or look ahead to the NFL playoffs as well. What our predictions were last week. How did we fare on that? And then going into the NFC and AFC championship games. How about you tell us a little bit something about the NFL playoffs, Ben?
I'll be quick, Marcus. We did our predictions last week, and for the first time in a long time, we disagreed on all 4 games. After Saturday, I was looking good. I was 2-0, and I'm thinking and I was texting you man, you're 0-2. I'm 2-0. I'm looking good. Then Sunday, I go 0-2.
I made my comeback.
So we went 2-2. You made your comeback, and I fell off. So I went 2-2. You went 2-2. And the only real blowout was the Seahawks over the Niners. 41-6. That was never a game. They looked really good. So I'm going to do one more prediction, and I think it's going to be chalk. I think it's going to be Patriots and Seahawks. I do not think Denver will move on because of Bo Nix being out. So I think it's going to be Patriots, Seahawks, and I really don't know who's going to win that game. I'm going to think about that one, but I think it's going to be Pats and Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think, with Bo Nix being out, I think everybody's got the Pats and that's a gimme. If the Broncos do somehow pull it off, that'd be an all-time miracle type upset with a backup quarterback doing that in the conference championship game. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to disagree with you on the other side. I'm going with the Rams. I just think that quarterbacks win games.
Okay.
I think that Matthew Stafford, I was saying that maybe Drake May should be this year's MVP. I don't think so. After thinking about it a little bit more and just seeing how many more yards and touchdowns Matthew Stafford has, he was the best player in the NFL this year. He's playing well. And I'm rolling with the Rams. So my Super Bowl prediction would be the Pats, Rams.
Okay. All right. We shall see.
We shall see. Well, that does it for another episode of Take Debate, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your support. There's no way we could do this without you. We're so thankful for those of you who continue to share our shows with others and to continue to tune in. It means a lot. And Ben, how about you send us off?
I want to thank Coach Moser again for joining us today. Thank you all for watching Take Debate. We want to hear from you.
We're out.
Take the bait. Take the bait.
Get off your phone and get in the zone. Put down the sticks, leave the studio alone. I got my squad with me and we ready. If you got your squad with you, get ready. Take the bait. Take the bait. Take the bait.